Guys, I'm so excited. Just in general, I've been extremely excited about life. And it's primarily because I have been preparing for this term. And all of these things that I'm sharing with you guys are having an impact on my life. Like literally within a couple of weeks, months, these things have really shaped and influenced my life. And I can already see massive changes. Okay. So very briefly, I don't know. I think, Cyan, I don't think I've seen you here yet, but just very briefly, I'll quickly say what we're talking about. We're answering this year in the dynamic program, the question, who am I? But it is a collection of 4 other questions that answer that question. Where do I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? And what is right and wrong? And so this term, we are on this question, where am I going? What is my destiny? And so we asked the question, why do you study? And the big point there was you shouldn't be studying to get a piece of paper that tell you you've got some sort of qualification and that's going to open doors for you. You should be studying because it should be shaping you into the person that you want to be. It's in the end, you'll see later on, we're going to talk about identity, and everything is about this question, who am I? And everything should be shaping you into that person that you ought to be. So then we asked the question, you took 15 minutes and you wrote down, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So you had to write down in 5 years' time where you see yourself and write down a little paragraph describing your life, your achievements, everything in 5 years' time. And with that, and not just see your life in 5 years' time, seeing yourself as a success. In other words, you were seeing yourself and you were happy with what you saw in 5 years' time. That was the assignment. So it was specifically about success. And then there were areas in your life that you could focus on. But in the end, what we wanted to do is we want to define what our idea of success is. And we considered, who do we think is successful? And again, with the dynamic program students, many of them have indicated that they believe that they were created, that God made them. And as a result, God has a purpose for their life. And so their destiny would be defined by that principle. That success would then be defined as becoming all that God has intended you to be. So, so whatever that is, and for every person that would be different, and it wouldn't necessarily mean everyone earns a great salary, or let's say an amazing salary, or is incredibly wealthy. So success is not necessarily about wealth, but rather to become everything that your Creator has intended you to be. A more general definition, maybe that some people might not believe in God, but a general definition that I found in all of the books is that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. In other words, in order for me to know whether or not I am successful, if you believe in God, you need to know, well, why has God made me? What is it that I should become? So success is not something that's just going to happen to you. You're just going to all of it just become successful. So success is something that you achieve. It's something that you are directed towards. And so we defined success as a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Very important definition. That ideal then means that there's a goal. There's something that I'm striving towards. It's an ideal. In other words, it's not yet realized. It's not something I have already. It's something that I'm tending towards. The second thing, it's worthy, and there we focused on just explaining you need to be willing to die for it, because that's why you're living. Like, you're living to achieve that. So it should be a worthy thing, something worthwhile living for. Then lastly, it should be progressively realized. And in other words, you should see yourself actually coming closer and closer to that specific destination, that ideal. So what that meant, that was our first session. And then last week, we started talking about setting goals for ourselves. And we started with life goals. So I showed the research that 3% of people write down, and that's people going to Harvard Business School. So in reality, it's much less than that. Only 3% of people have their goals written down with plans to achieve it. And the same study showed that people that write down their goals tend to earn 10 times more than people that are simply just going through life. They're just letting life happen to them. They don't necessarily have a written down intention to achieve in life. Okay. Then the next question was, why do you write down your goals? And everything has to do with your brain. Okay, you write down your goals because it's an external storage device. Okay, we forget our goals. Like if you get so busy with your schoolwork, you're so enthralled in life, things happen to you, you forget, oh man, this is actually what I'm working towards. So it's an external storage device. The very act of writing that down also embeds it in your memory. It's a memory tool. And then finally, the research just shows that people who write it down achieve their goals. Like 95% of people achieve their goals. So there's actual just value in writing down the things that you intend to achieve in life. Have you written them down? Okay. So for the dynamic program students, this is going to be your assessment for the term. And we'll send the details of that. But you are going to be assessed on how you have worked consistently throughout this term and hopefully continuously for the rest of your life on your goals. Every single day working on your goals, and we'll get a bit into that today. How do I work every day on my goals? Then we looked at SMART goals, and SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay, so I'm not going to reteach all of that, but that's an important function of goals, is they should be specific. You should be able to measure them. They should be achievable. They should be relevant, and they should be time-bound. In other words, there should be a time frame involved in all of your goals. And then we spent some time last week just writing down some of your life goals, and hopefully, again, we'll talk about working on those consistently. It's not a once-off endeavor. You don't just write them down once and then it's almost like putting it in a those bottles and throwing it into the ocean, and okay, there it's into the ether, and now my wishes are gonna come true. No, that's the beginning part of achieving your life goals, is to write them down. This is what I wanted to share with you. For me, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, so I look to other men that accomplished great things in their life, and one of those people is the person that wrote most of the New Testament, a man that made one of the biggest, apart from Jesus Christ himself, the biggest change in the history of the world, and formed Western civilization through his writings in the New Testament. And this was his goal, one of his goals that he wrote down. He says his goal was to present every man perfect in Christ. That is what, so he had his goal, and then he knew what he had to do to accomplish that goal. Okay, so for him, he wanted to present every person perfect in Jesus Christ. And so what he spent his life on was preaching, warning, teaching people with all wisdom, so that his goal, this elaborate goal, every single person, and to this day, his writing is impacting people like myself and probably people like you as well. He accomplished his goal. He had it written down. He had told other people, this is what my life is about, is to present people perfect in Christ. So I didn't get to share this verse last week, but this is what we are going to talk about today. Is we're going to look a little bit at short-term goals and really get practical today on things that you are going to do and start achieving your goals, hopefully within, soon. I don't know. It depends on how hungry you are to achieve things. Does anyone have any questions up until this point, just in terms of what we've spoken about or want to say? And I can't see you guys. I can just see my screen. So just speak up. You don't have to put up your hand. No one. Does anyone want to make a comment on the things so far, or I just wanted to go quickly through this, but I don't want to be the one only speaking. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, today we are going to start by with the exercise. So we're going to start by you are going to write down 10 short-term goals. So last week you wrote down your life goals, things that at the end of your life you want to have achieved with your life. So those are called your life goals. Now we're going to look at some short-term goals. And you'll see you need your life goals first before you can have your short-term goals. Because if your life, if your goal in life is to achieve something, but all your short-term goals are in a different direction, you're not going to be heading in that direction. So it's actually very difficult to write down short-term goals if you haven't already considered one, the vision of your life. Like, where do you see yourself? What is success for you? What is the things you want to achieve in life in a bigger picture? And that helps you say, okay, now that I know, like, in which direction my life wants to go, now I need to start taking steps in those directions. So these are going to be your short-term goals. Okay. What I want you to do is you are going to write down 10 things, goals, things that you want to say about yourself that's true about yourself in 1 year's time. So next year, roughly this time, what are we in? Past half of the year, in about 12 months' time, you can maybe say end of next year, if that's going to be helpful to you. Think of 10 things that you can say about yourself that is true about yourself, but you must write it specifically in this. First, it must be personal. In other words, you should say something like, I, because it's personal. Secondly, it should be positive, and I'll give you a few examples of what I mean. And thirdly, it should be in the present tense. Now, again, this is for psychological reasons, stating things in this way, like imprints it in your mind, and it helps you to set that identity for yourself. So, for example, I'm going to use an example that I don't think you guys are going to think about. But for example, you can write down something like, I am earning 10,000 Rand a month. Now, you as a student might, like, that might not at all be the direction which you think you're thinking about, because you're not thinking about earning a salary, but don't limit yourself. Okay. But notice how that is personal. I am earning. It's positive. In other words, it's not something like, I have stopped smoking. That is a negative. That is a negative expression. Okay. Um, so put it in the positive. Um, I'll think of a way to put that rather than positive just now. So I am earning, and then notice how it says I am earning 10,000 Rand. So it's in the present tense. So you're writing it as if it's already true for you. So in other words, none of these things must already be true for you. They should be goals, things you want to say about yourself in 10 months time, 12 to 18 months. If there are some bad habits that you want to avoid, instead focus on something like, let's say you are overweight and you eat too much. Say, I weigh 70 kilograms. I don't know if that's overweight for most of you, but for an adult, that's reasonable, adult male. But so in other words, I weigh 70 kilograms. Instead of saying smoking, you could rather say I have healthy healthy habits. I don't know if that is a good one. Doesn't seem very measurable. But yeah, okay, let me not say too much. You can rather ask me if you have any questions. So go ahead. I'm going to give you guys till past to write down 10 goals.
Sorry, sir, it's Dania. I kind of have a question.
You're welcome.
Does the goals have to be like measurable, like you're actually working towards it? Not something that just you have to like wait for it to happen or something.
That's a wish. No, it's yeah. So a goal is something you can make happen and you can work towards.
Okay, thank
So
you.
um, yeah, is that helpful?
Yes, yes.
Does
So
it
that
answer?
I have,
Okay.
yeah.
You're welcome to write more than 10 if you want, but it's not necessary.
Actually, sir, I'm struggling to get 10 goals. I need 3 more, but I can't think of anything.
Ah, let's see your life goals that you wrote down last week and see if
Yeah,
there's
so
any you can
I
write
was doing
down.
that. So 7,
Okay.
I have
Yeah, that
6.
helps. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
I've done
push
all of
yourself for
them.
10.
I push. I've read all of the life goals, and I've ran out of goals. So it's hard to think of more.
Good.
I'll try.
Cool. Try and put a little bit of your future a little bit closer. So, for example, you might not have been thinking about earning a salary, but why not? Like, what stops a bright young lady like yourself from actually earning a salary or starting a business? Or, yeah, so things like that. I'm not saying, please don't think
Actually,
of,
that actually does help. Thank you, sir.
hmm,
I was thinking of like goals I can achieve by next year, but I'll push
that's good.
myself a little.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. So that's the idea, but don't underestimate you. That's going to be one of the points today.
Thank you.
Underestimating ourselves. Okay. We're about 3 more minutes.
Sorry, sir. Do you actually know what's a good salary to base off in South Africa? I don't know.
No, make up a number that,
Okay.
well, make up a number that seems reasonable to you.
All right. Well,
Okay. Okay. Last minute.
So it's Taylor. What is the exact, like the longest time frame for a short-term goal?
Um, yeah, it doesn't. It's technical. It's a technical question, but it doesn't really matter. Your short-term goals are simply the goals that you are actively working on to achieve. So they not within reach. So it's not like you can reach them tomorrow. But it can be anything. Yeah, it's probably anything between 3 months and 18 months, maybe 3 years maximum.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, guys, let us pause it there. And here's my next question. Okay. Here's the next thing. I want you to look at your goals. Imagine let me just get it. When I was a little boy, I wanted to be a magician. I should show you guys some of my tricks. I'm pretty good. I wanted to be a magician. So let's imagine this is my magic wand. Okay. If I had the ability to grant you any of your short-term goals to be a reality tomorrow, okay, which one of your short-term goals will have the biggest impact in your life? Of everything that you're working towards that you would want to achieve in a year's time, those 10, which one of those would make the biggest impact in your life? Like that would, I don't, yeah, not just make you happy, but actually make you focus on other things mostly. Okay. So I'll give you an example, and it should just jump out at you. Okay. Let me go back to the screen so that you guys give me a raise your hand. So everyone raise your hand once you have one. Okay. If you have your goal that would make the biggest impact in your life, raise your hand. Okay. Look at your goals. I want everyone to respond and give you time. Okay, Lysanda and Cameron, it's just you two. Are you still looking for yours? Cameron has his. Okay. Lysanda, you keep looking if you don't have yours yet. Okay. So that's the question. So which one of these goals are going to be the one that would make the biggest impact in your life? Let me quickly just give you two of the biggest problems when it comes to goal setting. Before we now go to the next step, you have a goal that you said, like you want to be able to achieve this goal in 1 year's time. And you yourself are saying that this thing, of everything that I'm working towards, this thing would have the biggest impact in my life. I'll share with you guys just mine. I have lots, like I can write down 15. I also struggled the first time I did this, but I do this regularly now. One of mine is a ridiculous salary, but that I wrote down. But the one that jumps out at me is at Alroy, we don't have a deputy principal. I'll just put down these hands, which means, and I never thought about this, like just how much it would help if we had a deputy principal. And so one of my goals now is to employ a deputy principal. And that will just release myself from so much other work so that I can actually focus on the things that make me effective, and especially things like this where we can assist students in achieving their goals, things like that. But anyway, so that was the one that's jumped up at me. Now, up until I've written down my goals, I haven't thought in that direction. I've not made any effort in that direction. But since I've written it down, I've done a number of things, and we're at the point of starting interviews. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to pay that person yet. Okay. Because it obviously has to come out of my salary. So, but that's not the problem. Like I'm working towards, well, that's just one of the problems on the way there, but I'm working towards that goal because I've started thinking in a direction that can make my life, that can achieve certain things in my life that makes me more effective. Now, I'm in a completely different situation than you guys. So I don't think my example serves you very well, but give me some of your examples that, if you don't mind, please don't feel put on the spot, but if you don't mind sharing, what is one of your goals that you think would make a massive impact in your life? And if you could, you wish it was true from tomorrow. Danielle?
Yeah, one of my goals, the one that like stood out for me, is I take time every day to spend quality time with God, which I don't do now, but I want to. And that would probably benefit me a lot.
Okay, excellent. That's good. Anyone else? Is that Tennille?
I was actually thinking of myself with being antisocial. I thought it'd be best if I spent more time with other people so I can and be more social to others.
Excellent. Excellent. Good. Karina says to know my calling in life. That's good. Okay, now one thing about you guys is that all of your goals that you've mentioned so far is they're difficult to measure. Okay, so remember, a goal wants to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable. Okay, so these are good, but you can see you need some help practicing this. Go and do this several times where you write down things. So for example, if you want to, if I can use Karina's example, know my calling in life. Again, that's a difficult, yes, that is something, but it's more a wish than it is a goal. Like, how do you actually achieve that? So for example, you can say, okay, I want to have read in a year's time 10 books about knowing my calling. Like something that you can measure, something that you can work towards. Knowing my and again, I'm not I don't want to denigrate. This is now just me practicing writing down my goals as things that I know I can work towards. Yes, it is for a specific purpose. Something like to be more social. Think of something where you actually put yourself in a very uncomfortable situation because you feel antisocial, that you are, but especially measurable. Put numbers to the thing. Like 2 nights a week, you are spending somewhere in a group of people. Something like that. Something that's really different for you. Okay, let me move on. Does anyone else want to share? Here is 2 of the biggest problems when it comes to people achieving goals. The first thing is people underestimate always, and this, guys, is true for everything. People always underestimate the amount of effort it's going to take to accomplish your goals. I promise you this is true. It doesn't matter what it is, no matter what you think you want to achieve in life, however much effort you think it's going to take, you are underestimating it. It is much harder than you think. Okay, and that's why most people don't achieve goals. That's why most people in general are not really successful. They're not achieving the things in their life because they thought it was going to be easy. When I started Alroy, was 11 years ago, I thought this is such a great idea. Year 1, we're going to have 100 students. Okay, I've told this story before, so some of you have heard it. But in my year 1, I had 3, and only 2 of them went to go write the final exam. So it was a dismal failure. In that sense, I thought all I need is a good idea. But that's not, it took. And so this is where we'll talk about the 10x principle later, but this is where the 10x principle comes in. 10x means 10 times. However difficult you think it's going to be, however much work you think your goal is going to be, multiply it by 10. That's how much effort it's going to take to achieve that goal. Now, the nice thing about that is when you start thinking about that, you realize, okay, well, I don't know if I want to spend that much time and that much effort to achieve this goal. It's not really worth it for me. Then scrap that goal because it's going to take that much effort to achieve it. So don't pursue things that is not worth the effort. And pursue only those things that, yes, it is worth the effort. This can be for anything, whether it's to spend time with the Lord, as Daniela was saying, or to be more social. Anything that you want to accomplish, it's really 10 times harder than you think. And if in your mind you're going to say, it's not worth it, then that goal is not worth it. But if it is worth it, then put in the effort. Why not? It's worth it. So why not do 10 times more than you thought? Okay, so that's the first thing. We underestimate our effort. So whatever effort you think you're going to need to put in, we need to multiply that effort by 10. The next thing is we always underestimate our potential. Okay. And so here's what I want you to do. If your goal is measurable, so for example, so mine is not really measurable. So I say employ a vice principal, but I want to employ a vice principal in 1 year. Okay. That was my goal. We always underestimate our potential. Danielle, sorry. What is the salary you wrote down for yourself?
I think I wrote down 150K a month. That probably is a lot, but
150K a month, 150,000 Rand a month
yeah.
in a year's time. Okay, I love it. Yours is already on 10 times. That's an excellent salary. Okay, that is very good. But the principle is we underestimate ourselves. You should, whatever goal you have, multiply it by 10.
Okay.
Okay, so yours is already an excellent one. So you don't seem to be underestimating your potential at all. Okay, one of mine is we don't have any debt. I don't believe in debt, but that means I don't have a house yet. Okay, if you not unless you make debt, it's very difficult to buy a house. So one of my intentions is to buy a property. One of my goals is to buy a property. So to multiply that by 10 and buy a property cash, to multiply that by 10, I'm saying one of my goals is to own 10 properties. Understand? I'm just using some examples of what I have written down. I've got a lot that the moment you put an extra zero to it's like, whoa, that is intense. And the thing is, it's because we underestimate ourselves. So look through some of your goals, and wherever you can put a zero to it, like if anything has a number to it, and if it doesn't have a number to it, it's not a very good measurable goal. I don't mean they're not also like employing a vice principal is not is a measurable goal, but it is no number to it. So in that one, for example, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do it in a year, I divide with 10 and say, okay, well, I'm going to do it in about 2 months. Does that make sense? So that obviously is still 10 times harder than doing it over a year. Do you guys get this? Set your goals like far beyond what you can possibly accomplish with your own ability. Okay. Now, once you have that main goal, so this is now the goal that you said is going to make the biggest impact in your life. Hopefully, it's one that you can times by 10, and hopefully you can see for yourself that this is going to be 10 times harder than you think. Now it's 100 times harder than you think because you've multiplied it by 10 as well. So originally, when it was just 1, it was 10 times harder than you think. Now you must multiply that by 10 and it's going to be 100 times harder than you think. But here's the point. You can do it. That's the thing that we don't realize is we have that potential to accomplish anything we set our minds and our efforts to. How? Okay. So here's the steps for achieving your goals. Okay. And this is going to be important. So write down these things. So first thing, you've already done the first thing. You've written it down. Okay. Now the next thing you need to do is set a time frame. Okay, by when do I want to accomplish this? So we already gave it a time frame. Let's say in about 18 months, 12 to 18 months. That's good. Maybe now that you multiplied it by 10, you may, like in my case, had to divide it by 10. So your time frame is not a year. Maybe your time frame is okay within 2 months or 3 months. Now what you need to do, the next thing you need to do is break down each of the things. Like this is what needs to happen. So now you need to think of what things underneath this do I need to do to accomplish my goals. So for example, and again, guys, this is a silly example because it's not going to help you guys. But one thing that I needed to do to employ a principal is I needed to go set KPIs, that's key performance indicators. I had to write down a job description. I had to, one of the things is I needed to approach people that I want to interview. Then I have to do interviews. Then I have to determine the salary expectation. So I had now a goal in mind. Now I can figure out what are the things that needs to happen for this thing to happen. So it now breaks down this bigger goal that is a target into steps towards achieving that target. The next thing you do is you make a checklist, okay, in the order in which you're going to do these things. So maybe these things are already in order. I tended to do that when I was writing them down. For me, it made sense to do it all, but this part is more like a brainstorming. Like, what are all of the things that need to fall in place for this to happen? Now, once I know everything that needs to happen, I can now make a checklist of things that I must do to make these things all happen. And then after that, after you have the checklist, you need to develop a system to achieve it. Now, this system to achieve it we're going to focus on that right at the end. The last topic that we're going to do in this series is going to be about habits, is to develop habits in our lives that make us successful. So one example, just a good example, a simple example. Let's say you are not very fit, you are overweight, whatever. So your one goal that you wrote down is I want to weigh 70, or I weigh 70 kilograms, or maybe you're a girl in high school is probably 60. I don't know. I have no idea what goals you do. But let's say you have a goal. This is what I want to weigh. Okay, this is what needs to happen. Okay, you make your list of things that need to happen. I need to eat more healthy. I need to exercise more often. I need to, I don't know what else needs to happen for that, but let's say those are the two things. Okay, here's a checklist that need to do. I need to exercise daily, one checklist, work out a healthy program, or go see a dietitian. Sometimes the reason for overweight is medical. Like there could be other reasons. Like you're going to figure it out for yourself. Now you need a system, and this is about good. In other words, it's not going to be about just doing these things and then I get there and then what? No, you want to put habits in your life that makes you successful at achieving goals. One of those things would be regular exercise, eating healthy as a habit, so that it doesn't help you get to that ideal weight and now you're like, great, made it, and now you get overweight again. Now it's to develop a system. Okay, so that's what I don't want to spend too much time on that. We're going to get there. Then the next thing is you need to take action. You must do something. It can't just be on the paper. You need to take action, and not just do you need to take action. I'm going to say something about this just now. You need to do something every single day. And the minimum you should do every day is to write down your goals again. Every single, I can show you my paper. It's not in this one, it's in this one. I write down, I work on my goals every single day. I have half an hour in my time slot. And I've not done this my whole life. I wish I have. I've done it over the last 3 months, and I've accomplished more in the last two months. I've accomplished more in the last 2 months in my 2 businesses than I have in probably a year and a half, just by actually being intentional about these things. So take action every day. One of the things you can do every day is write down your goal again. Just write it down again. Go through these steps again. Okay. I've done this now at least the 3rd or 4th time, where I just wrote down the 10 things, and which one jumps up at me the most, same thing. For me at this stage, it's the same thing. But the other ones have changed a little bit. They've become a little bit more specific. They've become a bit more intentional. I've eliminated some that I realized I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to spend that effort. So by working on your goals every single day, you refine what you're working on. You're making yourself focused. If there's anything that's going to help you achieve anything and everything in life, it is to be focused, to be intentional. And then the last thing is just to do something every single day. Again, that's going to come into habits, but we'll get there. The last thing I just want to tell you is make a massive effort. Like just every day. Hopefully you guys take 1 day a week as a Sabbath, as a break, but every other day, make a massive effort, guys. Just give it your all. Like, what do you have to lose? I don't know. I've come to realize this time wasted watching YouTube shorts, or I don't know. There's a lot of things that just waste my time. Like, it's robbing me of the opportunity of actually achieving the things that make me excited about life. So this word massive effort, it comes from this book by Grant Cardone called the 10X Principle. Just give it your all, like make a massive effort. And this is what separates, that really makes people massively successful in whatever you consider success, is massive effort. They give it their all. They don't hold back. They are set apart from other people in terms of what they do. Yeah, and I can testify in my life. Like I've not always worked smart, but I've always worked hard, and I've never regretted that. Everything that I've given myself to with effort has had fruit. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want to, and that's fine. But I've always learned and never regretted giving it my all. Okay, so again, here's just your final instructions for the week. Next week, we're going to talk about unlocking your potential. This is going to be a profound session, guys. This is my favorite session of this. I've been presenting this to some people. This is my favorite session because it really highlights something about ourselves. But for this week, please make an effort every single day, work on your goals, write them down again, make up a plan how you're going to achieve it, and make sure you do stuff. Don't just write it down, that you do something in the direction that you want to achieve. One of the big things that we're going to talk about next week is make decisions and stick to it. Yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, any questions or comments or something you guys want to say? A little bit earlier today.
So I actually have a question about the steps for achieving the goals.
Yeah.
Like make the checklist. Is that like you've brainstormed ideas and now you're like organizing them in a way? Because I don't fully understand.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly it. Yeah. So so in terms of your checklist, like one of the things that is the biggest motivator for us to continue working hard at something is accomplishment. Like there's nothing that comes close to ticking off, I did that. Someone that's as well organized as Hannah would tell you, like the the rush you get of saying done. And that just motivates you to get to the next thing. So it is in all of the books that you can study, they'll tell you how important it is to have lists, well, not lists, but one of the mechanisms of immediate reward is to have had these they're actually tiny little goals that you have achieved and you've ticked. So
so it's like a little, like for business, it's like little goals to reach a vision type of thing every day.
So let's say one of your goals. So let's use an example. Like I've used now my example with the principal. I needed, or a deputy principal. I needed a key performance indicators. I need to know exactly what is he going to be doing, things like that. But let's say you wanted to start a business. Okay, then some of the things is, okay, I need to register a business with CIPC. Let's say you want to register a company. Okay, I need to register a company. I need to open a bank account. I need to have a memorandum of agreement or of incorporation. Like there's a certain things, or maybe you like, I have no idea. Like, how do I start a business? So one of the things could be, okay, I need to talk to someone that can help me with it. Okay, I need to make an appointment. So as you think of things, as you work through the things that need to happen, you'll get a list of things that you need to do, and that just becomes a tick list.
I see. Just also the other thing with take action and then do something every day. Like, what's the difference between them?
So the take action is you have to do something. So in other words, it's not just on paper. Okay. The final step is you have to do something every day.
Oh, okay.
Understand? So take action is just, and the do something every day is not easy. Like, I'm very committed to this and I'm struggling to get to everything, but that is the goal. And so some days you won't make it, but if you can be focused and work on your goal every single day, do something every single day, that's the quickest way you're going to achieve. And then that makes sense. Like, if you are, if one of your goals, and this is just again an example, is like, one of my goals is I want to be able to deadlift double my body weight.
Mhm.
I'm going to get there quicker if I exercise every day. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
I'm never going to get there if I don't actually start. So there is take action is do something. Take action daily is just do something as often as you can, preferably daily.
Sorry, one more question, sir. Thank you very much. But when
Yeah.
we write down, one of the things you suggested to write our goals again, like every day. Is it like every day should we look back at like steps on making a goal, like that SMART goal thing?
Yeah.
Is that a way to write
Yeah.
your goals and make it more achievable?
Yeah, so as you write down your goals every day, you'll realize more and more, because you're working on your goals, that your goals aren't smart. Like, you'll be challenged on, as you write it down and you start accomplishing it, that this goal, the problem is actually it's not well defined. So yeah, part of the exercise is not to write down the same thing every day, but as you write them down every day, they will take shape into what is important in your life. What do you actually value? What are you actually going to prioritize? It is going to write down your goals every day is going to change over time. Your goal.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Any last questions? You're more than welcome to ask questions. Don't be shy if you guys have. And then Tyler, I'll answer your question. Okay. Good. Let me stop the recording there, and then Tyler, we can have a quick chat on your question, because I love that topic. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciated it. I really hope you guys come next week. It's really it's going to be a very good session to challenge your thinking, unlock your potential.
Yes, thank you, sir, very much.
Bye, guys.